Welcome back. Did you miss me? I've been gone for 2 weeks. I'm sure as some of you have noticed. And that is because I went to the 24 Hours of Le Mans as a fan, as a vacation. I've never been out of the United States before, never left the country until 2 weeks ago. But the 100th anniversary, the centenary of the 24 Hours of Le Mans drew me out. I've always dreamt of going to that race. I actually took French class in high school for 2 years. Didn't learn hardly a damned thing, I have to tell you, from my 2 weeks in French from that. But I learned enough to be dangerous, I guess. But what an incredible experience. And a lot of people who knew, who were following me through social media, here on the community tab, and even at the end of the Indianapolis 500 video, who knew I was going, were a bit confused as to why I only chose to cover it or be there as a fan and not cover the race. And I guess I'll address that off the bat. And I guess I'll start out by saying this video is completely unprofessional David Land, okay? I've got a whole bunch of stuff here that I bought. A lot of it is team-related merch. Generally, when I go to cover races, doing this, big no-no. But because I just bought a ticket, I was there as a fan. I just want to show you, as a fan, my experience at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, did I vlog the whole thing? Did I film 24/7? Of course not. That was not what I was intending to do. My friends and I planned this trip about a year ago, and I decided very early on that I wanted to go to this race purely as a fan. And I'm really glad I did, because one of the things that I've noticed in racing with people who work in racing, and it's their life 24/7, and I noticed this in myself as well, sometimes you get too close, you get disillusioned, you begin to wonder if you actually like what you're doing. And I decided it was a good opportunity, especially right after the Indianapolis 500, which is my most hectic month as a content creator in the racing space, by a long shot. I mean, I can't even tell you how many different directions I'm pulled in during the month of May, and how hard and how much effort and my soul goes into it. It was a good time to take a break, and of course, taking a break meant going to essentially the equivalent event to the Indianapolis 500, if there could be one. And I guess that's the second thing I will say right off the bat, is just give you some musings on the 24 Hours of Le Mans. No, this isn't a race review, but I'll just generally say this. If you haven't been before, it is definitely the closest thing to the Indianapolis 500 that I've ever experienced. The pageantry, the traditions, the knowledgeable race fans, just the whole thing, the sense of danger, the sense of history, the sense of importance, all of that was there. Was it totally the same as the Indy 500? No. But from that perspective, there is very much a reason that the Le Mans 24 Hours is a part of the Triple Crown of motorsport. What an incredible event that was. I was completely blown away, and I will just say this off the bat. I will be back, whether that's a fan or whether that's media. Unclear at this point. Don't want to commit to anything yet, but certainly, I think that I will be 100% back to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It was that great of an event. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about some of the great storylines of the race. Ferrari broke through for the first time since 1965 as an overall winner at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Brilliant race, really, between Ferrari and Toyota, though it was so competitive. I think every hypercar, OEM led the race at one point, and even the Glickenhaus team was competitive for a top 5 finish. So, outside of the Van Wall, pretty much every car was in the hunt at the front of the field, and had a chance if certain things went certain ways, they could win. Got to give a shout out to Cadillac as well, getting on the podium. That car had genuine speed at points. Sebastian Bourdais had it legitimately third in qualifying. The other, I guess, concession to a hypercar before because some of the merch will give me an opportunity to go in more detail about the hypercars, but the Peugeot team was really strong, and Toyota, I think, got a little bit screwed on BOP, I have to say. I think they were done a little bit dirty. That's unfortunate. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Great story in LMP2, Inter Europol Racing, which generally speaking is not a front-running team in World Endurance Championship competition. Not only won the race, but won it with a guy with a broken foot. His foot was broken by, ironically enough, the GT winner, which was the Corvette Racing, taking the last GTE win at the 24 Hours of Le Mans next year and beyond. The race will be run with GT3 cars rather than the venerable GT3 formula. And we got to talk about Garage 56 and the NASCAR stock car Chevy Camaro that raced with Hendrick Motorsports being the entrant. IMSA, NASCAR, and the ACO all kind of collaborating to make sure that that program happened. And it was not only one of the smoothest things that, or the car that had one of the smoothest race out of the entire field, but I will say this right now. I think the Garage 56 program did more for NASCAR than, that's one of the most positive PR things they've done in a long time. Every time that car passed, it either turned heads or put a smile on people's face. And I don't know what the future holds for that program, but you have to think that it's going to continue in some form or fashion, because I think that it was way too much of a success to just leave without continuing on, because the car went for 22 hours essentially problem-free. They never got in the way. They never ran into anybody. In fact, were running a pace fast enough to win, quote-unquote, the GT race overall, although it wasn't technically classified as a GT car. I think the Garage 56 car exceeded everyone's expectation. Only a gearbox failure with 2 hours to go really put it back in the field. It would have had a really good finish otherwise. So on my trip, I got to experience a whole lot of things that have just blown my mind. A lot of people talk about culture shock when you go to Europe as an American. I wouldn't say that that's a thing at all. In fact, I want to disprove a stereotype that you always hear in the United States, and it's simply untrue. Is that the French don't like Americans or are rude to Americans. That was not only not the case, I feel so strongly that it's untrue that I just want to say that the French people were so nice, so compassionate, so kind, so understanding of a group of Americans wandering around the streets of Paris or Nice or Monte Carlo or Le Mans. I just have such high things to say and such respect for the country of France and its people. What a wonderful experience. And again, like I said, I'll be back because it was such a great experience. And I really felt like I needed to say that and disprove that stereotype, because going in I was a little bit worried. Am I going to have to say I'm from Canada? No, not at all. Just the French people could not have been more welcoming, and it was just a great experience from that standpoint. So I guess we'll get into a little bit of the story, and I can tell you kind of the story through the stuff that I have here. So like I said, did get a ticket to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. This was tough to get, as everyone knows. This race was sold out. We had plans to buy tickets, then we realized that they had sold out, so it was a whole thing to get this. I'll just say that. In fact, the whole trip was a bit of a pain in the butt most of the time. But our plan was to go not only to Le Mans and not only to the test day, but to also visit Monaco. And so I guess I'll show you the first thing, because, we did the Triple Crown. All of us on the trip went to the Indianapolis 500, obvious in my case. Then we decided that since we were going to be in France, and France is the next country, or well, I guess Monaco isn't a country, it's a principality, but got to check out Monaco. Got the sticker here to prove that I was there. They were still tearing down the racetrack, so really you could walk the track and see pretty much what a Formula One race at Monaco would be like. I did give a tour bus a fake checkered flag, which people seem to appreciate on social media. Had a lot of fun in Monaco. Ate at the Steak and Shake. Yes, there's a Steak and Shake in Turn 1 at Monaco. And I actually got to try something. Hold on. Let me cut real quick. Got to try something that I had heard about in French class and liked so much that I brought a bit of it home. Orangina, which is essentially just carbonated orange juice, but it's delicious. And it was something that we always, in French class, when we would have to talk about like je voudrais un, and we would use a drink, it would be either be un coca, which is a Coke, or une orangina, which, here you go, orangina. Very good, very good. So good, again, I didn't smuggle it back into the country, but declared it and brought it back into the United States. But Monaco was a really neat opportunity. Got to go into the museum at Monaco, which is really cool because that is the Prince of Monaco's personal car collection, including a vast amount of racing machines, namely Formula One cars. There were some Group B rally cars in there, as well as some sports cars. What a wild experience that was. And I guess on the subject, although this is a little bit out of order of how we did it, I did get to go to another racetrack, a former Formula One track, and one that's in Project Cars. So you've probably raced on it or driven on it at least once, or at least seen someone who has. And that was, we took the 2-hour trip from Le Mans to Rouen-les Essarts. I don't know if I said that right. I hope I did. I know I said the Rouen part right, but it was a track that was closed in 1994. It was built on public roads. Many tracks in France are. And it hosted the Formula One French Grand Prix until 1968. It actually alternated years with another track, Clermont-Ferrand, that you might have seen in the movie Grand Prix. But I did take a little piece of it. What was really cool was this is actually a part of the curb that had been torn up from the chicane that they added, I believe, in 1973. And believe it or not, we got lucky when we went there because Rouen is the closest former Formula One track to Le Mans. When we got there, we realized half of the track had been closed down for construction. So essentially, we got to walk Rouen-les Essarts with absolutely no traffic. So, I mean, it was the closest I've ever felt to being James Garner at the end of Grand Prix. The empty racetrack and just being able to imagine Jimmy Clark and Graham Hill and Jochen Rindt and so many great racing drivers absolutely sending it through the trees at Rouen. So, yes, it was the centenary of the Le Mans 24 hours. They give you these maps, which are neat. They're kind of helpful, and certainly helpful to those of us who need them, which was me. You obviously have a pretty good, if you're a younger racing fan especially, a good sense of like where you're going in terms of racetracks because you've raced them in sim racing. But it's tough because what they don't tell you is what's cut off from your access with your ticket and, what's a hospitality area and what's the paddock. So even if you know how to get around the racetrack, or in the case of Le Mans, what is actually private property that you can't walk on and have to take a bus like a mile and a half down the road and then back to actually get about a mile down the racetrack. It's very, very strange. But yeah, figuring out Le Mans was definitely an interesting thing. This was actually the first thing that I bought, which is a Ford GT40 keychain ring. I believe, now I'm going to get this wrong because there's two of these. I believe this is, and I do own the model of both of the cars that won in 68 and 69. The John Wyer Golf team won both of those years with GT40s. I believe this is the 1968 car, number 9. I believe this is a Jackie Ickx car. Jackie Ickx is essentially, I would probably say Henri Pescarolo is the AJ Foyt, so I would say Jackie Ickx may be the Rick Mears of Le Mans. I don't know. Or maybe the Al Unser Sr. I picked this up. I don't know why this is in the pile, but I think there's like an historic thing happening at Le Mans. The reason that I have this is because I discovered a new restaurant that I like called Del Arte. Now I understand it's like fast food, but also I'm American, so doesn't it make sense that I would like the fast food? But Del Arte, really good. I got like some sort of macaroni and cheese with chicken that I think I got every single time. Can I remember how to say it? Absolutely not. You'll just have to take my word for it. Something that's really cool about Le Mans is the process of scrutineering. And in America, we call that technical inspection. But what Le Mans does that's really, really neat is that they do the scrutineering as a public display. Everyone gets excited for it, and you get to see all the cars and drivers up close. They sign autographs for the fans. It's really cool. I did actually get one autograph. I don't even remember how I acquired it because I'm not really an autograph person anymore. But I got one from the number 8 Toyota at scrutineering, and you'll never guess who signed it. Ryo Hirakawa, who unfortunately kind of threw away the chance for this car to win the race in the last couple of hours when he spun out. So sorry, Rio. I will not get your autograph again because I don't think that helped you out very much. But scrutineering, if you haven't been, absolutely amazing. Auto Hebdo. This is, as far as I can tell, a weekly publication in France. I bought this at a train station, and the reason I did, as you can see, there was Indy 500 coverage, and even more kind of crazy is I met the journalist who wrote this right before I left the Indy 500, the race. His name is Mehdi. I hope I said that right. Sorry if I screwed that up. You'll have to yell at me next time. But yeah, there's a lot of coverage in Auto Hebdo of the Indy 500. So, you know, and what's crazy is, now not everybody, when I would say, hey, I'm from Indianapolis, would realize that, hey, you know, that's where the Indy 500 is from. But many, many, many people, when I said Indianapolis, knew this race. And you always hear that and you think it's a meme. It's not. The Indy 500, popular everywhere. One of the cool, not just cool, amazing, was this. The La Grande Exposition at the Le Mans Museum. There were 80 cars, 80 different cars with significant history to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I believe over 60 of them won the race overall. And the cars that did not were significant in some way. Like they had Le Monster, the Cadillac that was made out of a plane. And they had the WR car that was taken to 250 miles an hour on Les Unadier, a.k.a. the Mulsanne Straight for those of us who are English speaking. But if you have the opportunity, I believe this closes, July 2nd. If you can get to the Le Mans Museum, get to the Le Mans Museum. Absolutely unbelievable. Another thing I got at scrutineering, and speaking of Auto Hebdo, this is the program to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, what's cool about this is actually a spotter's guide for the race that they include with the program. And what's cool about this is the program itself is actually, because it's independent, or at least somewhat independent, it's an Auto Hebdo production. Not only is it written in French and English, which is just absolutely unbelievable for me as a non-French speaker, that they have not only positives about each car, but they also talk about the negatives, which I think is, for a new fan who is reading this book, is great. If everything's positive, there's nothing to talk about. And so from this perspective, anyone who was coming to the race for the first time could learn everything that they need to know about the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And here's actually the actual program itself, again, written in English and French. You get a poster with it. And in fact, I even got a rolled poster, which I'll show you a little bit later. But yeah, and it's dual language. It's written, everything that is written in French is also written in English right next to it. So an incredible production right there. Now we're getting into some manufacturer freebies. And this is what's interesting. I don't know if you can quite see this one, but you can certainly see this one. You'll know that if you are at least a little bit educated on sports cars, that Audi was not at Le Mans this year. They were supposed to be, but they cut their program for to sponsor the Sauber F1 team and provide engines eventually for them. But for whatever reason, I guess maybe because they had no takes backsies on the hospitality, because the only Audi that raced at Le Mans was one privately entered GT3 car in the Le Mans Cup race. Audi was there, and they were handing out things, and I got 2 R15 stickers. They were also, that I saw, R18 and R10 stickers, though I did not get those. I did ask for stickers, and I got them. A lot of cool free handouts. I guess we'll go with the free handouts now before we get into some of the stuff I actually bought. Peugeot, which obviously as an American, there's not a lot of Peugeots around, and certainly not merchandise. Although I've seen them race before. I saw them race in the Petit Le Mans, as well as obviously Sebring this year. This is actually a paper car, as far as I know. They were handing these out, and eventually I guess I'll build it, because if you can see, maybe you can see in there, it's like a punch-out car, and you can build the 9.8X. Or 9X8. 9X8. So let's do, and speaking of the 9X8, I guess, we'll do the really cool Peugeot handout. They did posters for both of the cars. So there's a poster for the 93 car and the 94 car. Special livery for the 9X8 this year at Le Mans. And I think it looks way better than the regular livery. I wish they would just run this all the time. Certainly of the 2 special liveries, I thought this was the best one that the hypercar teams brought to Le Mans. Obviously, we're about to talk about the other one here shortly. So I guess we'll do that now. Porsche was handing out free stuff. A lot of free stuff, actually, as well as stuff that you could pay for. But yeah, all the Porsches ran this livery, which did grow on me, I have to say. When it was first revealed, I was like, okay, they're running one car with this livery, right? No, it was all 3 cars, and I said, oh, that's a mistake. But, as it went on, time heals all wounds, and I felt like by the end, I did appreciate this rainbow car. Though I will say that Peugeot's rainbow car, I thought was better executed. So, but I do have posters for both of them, so make up your mind for what you will. This is the poster that came with, as the posters fall on the ground, this was the poster that came with the program. This is the official race poster, if I can actually show it without getting glare on it. Unfortunately, this one got a little bit beat up in the process of getting my bags back from Aer Lingus. Thanks. Shout out to Aer Lingus. This was not free, but I guess we'll start talking about it. They have cups that you can get at Le Mans. This cost €2, which essentially is just $2. The exchange rate was very favorable for Americans going to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and these are all the class winners, I believe, from last year's Le Mans on a centenary Le Mans Cup. The other cup that I got, I'm not sure I was supposed to take, but I did anyway. We checked out the restaurant Le Tête Rouge. Tetra Rouge. However you want to say it. It's not wanting to focus on it. Ill-gotten gains. But yeah, so I did have it almost focused. I did get a cup from the Tête Rouge restaurant, which is literally inside of the corner, and had great hot dogs, I have to say. Let's talk about drop-O's. And you say, what is a drop-O? Well, if you're an American, we call that a flag. I didn't actually get this Porsche flag. My friend Steve got it. But since I complained so much, because I kept walking by Porsche, and I could never get a flag from Porsche. In fact, I didn't receive a free flag from any team. Peugeot was handing them out. Ferrari was handing them out. Porsche was handing them out. BMW was handing them out, even though BMW wasn't in the big race. I did not get a flag, so Steve took pity on me and gave me this flag. Although they were handing out better flags later on in the weekend, which actually had the 75 on them from the race. But I did actually pay for a flag too, and you're going to notice a theme as this goes on. But I bought a Glickenhaus flag. Definitely did it for the memes from a particular standpoint. But I will say this. The Glickenhaus, there was a rumor, and I guess we'll find out in the next couple of months, that Glickenhaus, their last race was going to be this year's Le Mans. So I went hard in the paint with the Glickenhaus merchandise because it might end up being classic very quickly. Aaron Likens did teach me how to wave a flag. I don't know if that's good or not. What do we do next? We're not going to talk about this just yet. I guess I'll show you the one hat that I bought, which was a Penske Porsche Motorsport hat. As you can see, Penske and Ansys or something like that. It is a Puma hat, so we have that going on. So if I ever have to rant about Penske Porsche Motorsport, we do have a Puma hat for that now. But this hat, I guess, sold out. So I guess it was a good decision that I bought it. This actually would have been cool with the rainbow on it. It might have even been cooler with the rainbow on it. But they weren't ready for that. But this is a good generic hat. I hope they someday sell these in the U.S. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I don't know. It's a cool hat, though. So that's why I picked it up. Only one hat because I have too many hats as it is. It has to be said. I guess we'll go into diecast since I think a lot of people wanted to see these. Continuing with the Penske theme, we've got the 1/64 scale Orica Penske from last year's 24 Hours of Le Mans. Let's see if I can actually get the camera to focus on it. It's not going to focus on it, is it? Okay. Well, just trust me when I say that there's a 1/64 scale Orica Penske in my hand. Cool livery, very Al Unser Sr.-esque, and that's also why I bought it in 1/43 scale. This car was also available in 1/18 scale, but I limited myself. I was a very good boy. I said I'm going to get one 1/18 scale car, and I decided that it was not going to be an LMP2 car. So let's see if that focuses a little. It focuses slightly better. When I cover my face, maybe. But yeah, the Spark models were absolutely insane at Le Mans. There was more of these models than I've ever seen in my whole life. Every car you could possibly imagine, except IndyCar, was in these shops. It was unbelievable. The fact that I only brought, 4 cars home? Miracle. The other car that I bought was one that is absolutely brand spanking new. It's in Le Mans Centenary packaging. Well, it focuses on that. Let's see if it focuses on this. The Van Wall. Yes, the Van Wall. This is what they claim is the test car. It looks an awful lot like the car that I saw race at the 12 Hours of Sebring. It wasn't the 12 Hours of Sebring because that was the IMSA race. The WEC race was the 1,000 miles of Sebring. I saw this car race in it, and obviously I saw it at Le Mans. To me, this is the best sounding car, even including the Garage 56. Ironically, this uses essentially an unrestricted version of the LMP2 motor, which sounds absolutely unbelievable. Maybe LMP2 should take off the training wheels, which they did at the beginning of the class. What are we going to do next? Let's do t-shirts. I bought a couple of t-shirts, including the one you see me wearing right now. Oh, I did the wrong thing. It does have the 100 years on it. I did like the light blue. Very, very French. I liked it. It's also got the French colors on here. You can't see them because the shirt is too long and it's bunching up. But just trust me that there are more colors on that than just blue. There's also a French flag on the back of the collar, which is kind of nice. I mentioned one of the things that I really went after, and you can't even see this, so I'm going to have to open it up on camera, is that I targeted specifically hypercar-related merchandise because I thought that was the most interesting stuff, for sure. But also stuff that was unique and stuff that I could not get otherwise in the United States. Case in point, if we can get all the packaging off of it, a Peugeot shirt. Yeah. It's very similar to the actual team merch. It's a Jack and Jones shirt, which I believe sponsors the Haas F1 team. So, yeah. I wish, again, they would have had Le Mans-specific ones, but even the team members were not wearing Le Mans-specific ones. So, yeah, a Peugeot shirt. If you have an opportunity to buy a Peugeot shirt and you don't take it, what's the matter with you? So I guess the posters were not free after all. Thanks, Peugeot. I mentioned that I went hard in the paint on the Glickenhaus stuff, and I thought this shirt was too cool to pass up. So the two shirts that I went with that were actually team merch was Peugeot and Glickenhaus, because I felt like those were the two shirts that I'd be least likely to get in the United States. And also, The Ferrari shirt that they were offering, while cool, was also $80. $80. I could not justify. I couldn't justify that. Unfortunately, I just couldn't justify that. There was also a Penske Porsche shirt that was similar to the hat that had the car on it that I was very tempted by, but I resisted. I got this bag at a grocery store called Carrefour. Carrefour, I don't know. Supposedly they had a partnership with the 24 Hours of Le Mans, but that was not the best grocery store to go to at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That was Super U, because they had these. And you say, what is this, David? Well, let me tell you. This is something that when you ask, why are there so many people interested in sports car racing, internationally, I should say, things like this are why. Now, this is in French, though it's written at a pretty low reading level, meaning a stupid American with 2 years of high school French can kind of read it. This is a retelling of history from the 24 Hours of Le Mans, specifically 1964 to 1967. And essentially it's Ford versus Ferrari, but in French. Let me see if I can get something that everyone will like to see. That does involve McDonald's or cigar-smoking Americans, because that's all they think. Very clearly about the comic. But here you go. It's a comic book history of Le Mans. And here's the deal, man. Look how many different ones they have. I only bought 2 of the specific history years. But this is amazing. I wish we had these in the U.S. because I think this is a great way to get young people educated on the history of racing. There's also one specifically about the 1999 24 Hours of Le Mans. It's, I think, one of the only books that is about one specific year. This tells the story, which is a bit fictionalized, of a father and a son kind of wandering around the 99 24 Hours of Le Mans. And the artwork is just, I mean, it's just fantastic. Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, this is amazing that this exists. And I bought it in a grocery store. The other thing that I thought was really cool was this, which is a book by the same folks, but this is actually called 100 Years of Innovations. This is a book specifically for the centenary of Le Mans. And what's so cool about this, again, when we're talking about like young people getting interested in racing, and specifically the 24 Hours of Le Mans, but it could apply to any race. It's just, I mean, look at this. You can learn about just about everything you want to learn about. And just the fact that it shows the progression of the Porsche. It tells the story of the 250 mile per hour WR Peugeot. Amazing. Amazing that this exists. The French do comic books right. And that's how we get to Michel Vaillant. This is a comic book that is kind of French exclusive, but not. From what I can tell, this is absolutely a cultural milestone thing in France. This is actually the newest book. I believe it is just like brand spanking new off the press. I might have even been able to buy this early by being at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The book is titled The Target. That's what that translates to in English. But this is actually an adventure for the principal character in this comic book, Michel Vaillant, of the race that I attended. So you're damn right I bought it. And I mean, just this is what's so cool is this is a fictionalized story. Definitely a higher reading level than the history books, by the way. A lot harder for David to read. But let me see if I can find a good panel. Yeah, here we go. So the fictionalized universe is where the Michel Vaillant races in real-life races. So you can see his fictionalized cars racing with the Ferraris and the Peugeots, and it's so cool. I mean, again, Why doesn't this exist in the United States? Amazing. And let me really blow your mind here. Michel Vaillant does not just race in France. He races all over the place, including Indianapolis. Indianapolis 1960. I bought this in the gift shop of the Le Mans Museum. The title translates literally to "In the Hell of Indianapolis." And no, that's not because I'm good at French. You'll find out here in just a second. But look at this. The detail in these books is absolutely unbelievable. We've got Tony Holman there. We've got Graham Hill. And I'll tell you what. Reading this book was like going home. Because obviously I live in Indianapolis. And the detail that they did on this book, it just, the sign of quality is there. No, they're not paying me for this endorsement, but this really blew me away that this exists. Not only does it exist in English. There is an English copy. This was the only English Michel Vaillant book that I could find. It was the right one to find, obviously, for me. What was interesting was there was a book signing when I bought this book by the artist who did not do the art in this book. But I did get to meet the artist who actually did, hold on, this book. So he signed the book, and the actual artist who did it is, who unfortunately did not get to meet, is Vincent. So shout out to Vincent. But I just want to say that I had a great conversation with the artist of Michel Vaillant, or one of the artists. And I just complimented him for the work that this team puts in, because I said, the fact that I'm from Indianapolis and I can read this book and look at the amazing artwork and feel like I'm home, that really means something. And I can't necessarily go into detail. But what I will say is that I'm looking forward to the future of Michel Vaillant because I think there's going to be something cool coming that a lot of you will like. But yeah, Michel Vaillant, 2 thumbs up. I did miss one Drapeau. I didn't pay for this one. It was huge. It is huge. It's the only bit of Toyota merch that I actually got the whole time. But it's a Gazoo racing flag. You see these on poles all over the place, waving all over Le Mans. And it's because they give them away for free. But it's a great marketing tactic from Toyota. The final thing. Unfortunately, Aer Lingus, best airline ever, did kind of hurt my 118 Spark model. I'm going to need some super glue to repair it. The damage is not as bad. I won't even show you because I'm embarrassed to show you. But the rear wing got a little bit knackered, as the British say, and a couple of parts fell off. Everything is accounted for. I can rebuild it. But I bought the 708 Glickenhaus from a couple of years ago. I wanted to buy a car that I'd seen at Sebring, and I was very much on the fence about buying the Alpine from last year, which is the rebadged Rebellion car, but this was on a pretty deep discount, and I felt like, you know what? The Glickenhaus is a cool car. I like it in red, and so I went with it. I didn't mean to go so hard on the Glickenhaus stuff. I know Jim is a polarizing guy, but I respect what he does, and I respect the fact that he, went out of his way to build a car that is unique to his team. And it's a proper racing effort, although it's not the best funded or the best aerodynamic car in the field. Yost Racing runs it, and they run it well, and it's a car that could have finished in the top 5. And if this is the last race for the Glickenhaus, I guess I'm glad I purchased a model. And when you get a big Spark like that, you get a really cool bag. But yeah, that's 40 minutes of me rambling about the 24 hours of Le Mans and my trip and everything that I bought and or stole and or just got back in general from Le Mans. But I just got to tell you, again, what an amazing experience. I will be back. And if you've never been to the 24 hours of Le Mans, very much worth your time. Regular service will resume. Obviously, there's a lot to catch up on in the world of IndyCar and motorsports in general. So I can't wait to get there. Road America this weekend. I won't be there. I need a little bit of time to recover. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.